my parents' logic was, hey, you're blind, so what? Like, not, I know that sounds mean, but it was an endearing thing. Like, you're blind, but you're still able to do most of what anyone else can do, so we're going to raise you like that, which is really cool. Because I've, like, always been like, yeah, I'm blind, whatever. I sort of I never internalized it, I guess, until I started getting bullied for it. And because he was from California, he's blind, haha, double funny. These kids are mean. But especially going into the classroom and like constantly having to sit at the front of class and stuff like that, I think that's when I realized, oh, wait a minute, hold on. I used to go to a kindergarten on an Air Force base because that's where my stepdad David was stationed. I was bummed out because I had just recently been told that I couldn't be a pilot. Because of my vision, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a pilot or an astronaut or a geologist. Fun fact. With a pilot, you got to be able to see, and with an astronaut, you have to be able to fly. I was bummed out about it, but I think that week there was like an expo for the civilian residents of the Air Force Base where we could go and look at some of the planes. I think David took me into it was a little 4-person like propeller plane, and started messing around and whatever, and then we got out, and then we went to go do something and came back 10 minutes later. The plane was getting ready to take off, so he picks me up and starts sprinting after the plane. He's like, we're supposed to fly that plane, and I was just laughing the whole time. It was great. Over here, full perfect 2020. Over here is completely blind, can't see anything. Lee Sin. My vision lies probably right about here-ish. Just for example, like I can tell there's a chair, I know that's a booth. It's a lot of contextual clues. Just like if we're in a restaurant, there is square thing over there, it's probably a booth. But yeah, I can still make out shapes and colors and all of that, but if I get more than a few inches or a few feet away, it makes it hard to identify that. That I can't fly planes. I can't operate any motor vehicles legally. I know certain places won't hire me in terms of a job because of safety concerns / liabilities. Like when I first moved, I tried to get a job at a warehouse because I'm like, I'm a beefy boy, I'm fit enough. I went to go and apply at like Walgreens and Walmart and Amazon. They're like, no, we can't hire you. You're a safety concern with all of the motorized equipment and stuff like that. You need to be able to see what you're doing, and if you're not, you could hurt yourself or hurt someone else. Which makes sense. I'm not going to argue, oh, hey, no, I should be allowed to work because discrimination, when the quote unquote discrimination is to keep people safe in this specific context anyway.
You mentioned your vision's getting worse.
It's been a sort of gradual thing, I think, where it's not super bad, but it's like, oh, it's harder to see the TV now, or like, because I used to be able to just stand in front of the TV and like just play, and now it's hard to do that. It's not like the end of the world, it's just spooky. Technically, I could get LASIK to improve my vision slightly. The problem is I probably wouldn't get approved because I do have some lens issues, but the majority of my issues are in my retina. So it's like, why would you fix the lens if the retina is going to go poof anyway? LASIK would fix my lensic issues. It would focus how my eye it would fix how my eye focuses light onto the retina. So there would be some gains in terms of visual performance. However, it is the light would be being focused onto a faulty retina, right? The retina is what also messing up. So actually processing that focused light, regardless of like how crisp that image is coming through my lens. Say I have the best lens in the world. My eyes are 8K, 240 FPS, insanity. If it goes through and it's projecting that onto the retina with holes in it, there's going to be data loss. So what I'm assuming happens is that my eye gets the light info, Cool, it's a little blurry, whatever, no big deal. Focuses onto the retina. Oh, the retina's missing information, so my brain fills in the rest. Which is why I don't see dark spots everywhere. I wonder if the brain has just had time to get accustomed to the little blank spots, the little like dead spots in my retina. So instead of just showing black, it shows what it thinks is there. Basically, well, it's holes in my retina that are getting bigger, and we don't know why. I didn't really start getting the test done until I was like 6-7 years old, and so they were like, hey, this is cone rod dystrophy, this is bullseye maculopathy, TLDR, holes in your retina, hard to see. I understand. I know that, like, for instance, I play League, and
I appreciate that you feel shame about that.
I play League, and sometimes it gets hard to see the mini-map. So what I've done is I've actually gone into the game itself, because Riot doesn't consider it cheating at all, which is great. I just increase the size of the mini-map beyond what the default is. So if the mini-map's normally like this big, I have it to like this big so that I can better see everything. Granted, it still kind of sucks because, most of the time people can just glance or look down or whatever and at the minimap and be fine. Me, I have to go like this and then move my entire head back up.
Do you use your monitor at an angle?
I do! How did you know? I play it as high as it'll go, and then I angle it like this so that the bottom is closer to my face, because the top, is a little easier to see, bigger characters, bigger whatever. But yeah, no, I do play at an angle. I used to go over to my friend Ben's house all the time. We'd nerd out, we'd play Smash Bros, we'd watch Red vs. Blue, we got into anime together. Well, that's kind of a lie. He showed me newer anime because all the anime that I had seen had been stuff that my dad showed me. So I was watching Naruto and Dragon Ball, and I know Avatar isn't technically an anime, but he showed me Avatar and stuff like that. We used to watch, my dad and I, anyway, we used to watch Ninja Warrior, the original one, on G4, where it was in Japanese with English subtitles, and he'd make miso soup, and we'd just sit there and watch the new episode, and it was great. But so I'd go over to Ben's, and we'd watch anime, we'd play Halo, play Smash Bros, just a lot of different video games. We started making a dumb little movie, and just a Halo movie. Or a quote-unquote Halo movie, because we were obsessed with Red vs. Blue at the time. I was always either player 2. I was never player 1, basically. So if it was 2 people, I'd always play bottom screen. If it was 3 people, I'd still play bottom screen. If it was 4 people, I was player 3 or player 4, whether that be Halo or Black Ops 2 or whatever, because that's how split screen worked. It allowed me to get super close to my area of the screen without blocking everyone else. And best part, I could never be accused of screen peeking. I have a lot of time in Brawl, and I know people are like, ew, that's the worst one, but I was a child. I think just the general feeling of that was some of my favorite moments in childhood. I think why VR might work is because the screen is an inch from your face. And when I play normal games, the screen's an inch from my face anyway. But it allows me to play in VR and say hi and whatever, which I think is really cool. It's kind of similar to my actual vision, I think. Although here, the straight up blur is a little more noticeable. I can make out basic objects, but details are a little harder to come by. Well, I can't read your name right now. Lucky for me, I have 500 hours in VR chat, so I've basically memorized everything I need. It's more memorization for the most part. Yeah, because there's only 8 buttons here, It was cool when I first got the VR headset and I put it on. I was like, this is shockingly familiar to how I actually see, which I did not expect, because I know there is depth, but my assumption of it would have been that it was a regular screen, or I guess 2 screens or whatever. Where I get closer and I can see fine details. In reality, no. I put on the headset. Oh, I see like I'm seeing in real life. No idea how that works. No idea why that works, but that's what it is. I mean, it kind of sucks, but
So with how VR simulates distance, you have trouble seeing in real life, you're still going to have trouble seeing in VR.
Yeah, the way that, yeah, like you're saying, that it's simulated interacts with the eyeballs in a way that makes the vision the same, which kind of sucks, but whatever.
How's your music going?
Oh, it was actually really, so basically I went through and emailed like every single club within like a 60-mile radius. I'm, just like, or I guess 60-mile diameter, whatever, like 60, no, radius makes sense. Back in May, I started playing in an actual club called Liquid. It's in Madison, it's in Madison, Wisconsin. If any of the people who are potentially going to watch this end up being in that area, I played my first show there May 20th. I got an offer. A guy who runs a festival invited me to play main stage at the festival. So I got to do that in July. At the festival, oh, dude, there was a guy who, I brought a lot of my own food because it was a camping festival. So I brought a lot of my own food. I brought even like milk because I had a cool kind of cooler, that could keep the milk preserved for the 3 days that I was there, which was awesome. So I brought milk, I brought like sandwich stuff, and then I was like, I'm hungry or whatever. I'm gonna go get some Special K. Some guy looks at me, he's like, dude, you got Special K? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, can I have some? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so we go to my tent and I present the cereal, and he's like, oh, that's not what I thought you meant. I'm like, wait, what did you think I meant? He's like, I thought you meant ketamine. And I'm like, oh, nope, I got cereal. He did not take a bowl of cereal. Well, no, there were people who were asking and offering like drugs and stuff. And it was just like, the only ones that I took up were, it was a PBR and a chocolate vodka shot. But I took both of those because they were sealed, right? Like I was the one who opened them and did whatever. So I'm like, this is safe, this is fine. But yeah, so that I took up alcohol because I'm 21 now, woo! But other than that, not really. No, I was just like, I'll stay away from the other stuff just because it's not really my thing. Especially out in the middle of the woods, I'm not gonna try anything like that. If I hadn't found the music path, I probably would be in college right now. Or I would have been, actually this year I would have graduated college. But yeah, if the event ever arose where I wasn't doing music or whatever, I'd probably be in some sort of science field, either some kind of engineer or a chemist.
Did you have a paranormal experience as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. No, my house was 100% haunted.
You believe it actually happened?
Absolutely. One of the first experiences that I had, or that I vividly remember, was the day before. David was talking to my mom. It was the day of. I don't believe in ghosts. I will not believe in ghosts until I see something with my own eyes. Famous last fucking words. Because that day at dinner, we had friends over. We were inside, and I had a little plastic cup that was filled with water or like juice or something like that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, guys, look. Everyone looks over. The cup is moving by itself. And then I grabbed it because I was like, oh, haha, funny. Because I think I had like started getting scared about that kind of stuff. So I was like, haha, funny. There's like a string on it. There was no string. And everyone else was just as confused as I was. So that was the start of it. And then there's stuff like, we called him the Top Hat Man. I started seeing him in the basement mostly. It was an unfinished basement, of course it was. But I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just seeing things or whatever. No, my little brother, who was 3 and didn't really have a concept of ghosts or whatever, came upstairs running. He's like, there's a man downstairs. There was like there was a man wearing a hat downstairs. And I'm like, fuck, that is, okay, that's not just me. And then later in life, I found out that the Top Hat Man typically shows up around times of familial turmoil. And at that time, David was cheating on my mom. So that's fun. I had a lot of drinks, especially as a kid. I was pretty religious, and there was a lot of like religious symbolism. One of the dreams was literally, the only part I remember was I think it was also partially inspired by Mortal Kombat though, you know, the pit, the stage fatality where they fall into the pit. It was like two angels were grabbing me by the arms and threw me into this giant pit. And I like, in the dream, saw my leg impaled and then woke up. One time in particular, it was really creepy because it was like, so there was I was having a dream, and in the dream, my little brother and I, we were on tiny iPads playing Plants vs. Zombies, seeing who could get the furthest. And all of a sudden, in the dream, David comes and starts walking towards my room. For some reason, I just get really scared and start just telling him, no, don't go up there, don't go up there. He's going up the stairs with all these tools or whatever. He gets upstairs, opens my room, and then I hear a blood-curdling scream, and then the entire dream cuts to black, and I slowly sort of like fade into consciousness, really, and my ears are ringing. In real life. Yeah, that house was absolutely haunted, though, and nothing is going to change my mind. You know, normally what you hear is like, you know, like, I guess unfinished business or whatever, but less than that, you know, because unfinished business sounds too sinister. I feel like a lot of the time it's just an attachment to something, whether it be positive or negative, and not being able to move on from that attachment. Like, maybe it's not being able to accept that you're dead. Maybe it's, you know, looking after your family, like protecting them or whatever, stuff like that. So just not being able to move on, I think, is a root cause of hauntings. My aunt actually ended up sleeping in the basement, which is where the Top Hat Man liked to reside. He was just stalking her, and she said she could actually feel... No, she told me the story before I told her anything about the Top Hat Man, or the Shadow Man. I actually think they were separate, because there was a Shadow Man and then a Shadow Dude with a hat. The Shadow Man was really tall, and the Hat Guy had a hat, so that's how you knew the difference. But okay, so the Top Hat Man was kind of just there, but the Shadow Man was pretty malicious in the way of like nightmares and paranoia and stuff like that, and you know, the occasional moved object. With my aunt, the Shadow Man would stalk her. She ended up hiding under the covers with her at the time husband or whatever, and she said she could feel the Shadow Man like breathing, or like a cold presence or something like that. I'd wake up with light scratches or whatever all over. Granted, I don't know how much of that is paranormal and how much of that is I rolled around a lot in my sleep. So, yeah, just stuff like that. We have really, really shifted the rails of this conversation, I just realized.